Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got another start and sit video for you guys. We are week 4, and again, a lot of great football is coming up. We've got a Thursday night game with the Lions and the Packers, so stay tuned to some injury reports with that. And we've got a really cool and fun game on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern between the Jaguars and the Falcons. So again, make sure you guys' lineup is ready for that because there are some players you're going to put in there. Now, we are talking wide receiver. This is always for full PPR and half PPR. If you guys have standard lineups, always hit us up in the comments down below. And again, once you guys hit that 1,000 subscriber mark and we are there, we will be running a jersey giveaway. So make sure you guys are hitting the subscribe button as well if you guys haven't already. And then we'll be talking about the contest and giveaway for that. Now, we're going to jump right into this. These are your obvious starts at the wide receiver position. These guys are the ones I believe, without a doubt, should be in your lineup. No questions asked. Now, there are other players you may want to consider. Again, hit us up in the comments, but these guys should be in your lineup. Now, the first receiver I'm recommending this week is going to be Tutu Atwell versus the Colts. Tutu has been on fire lately, averaging 9 targets a game, and that's as the second option for Stafford behind Nakua. Tutu has a great matchup this week against a really poor pass defense in Indy. Colts have allowed 4 touchdowns to wide receivers so far this season, which is just over 1 a game, and allowing 21 points a game to the wide receiver as well. Tutu is way more explosive than Nakua and has the bigger upside. Puka is also dealing with that soft injury issue, so something to keep an eye on. I expect Nakua to play, but I still think Tutu has a really good viable option this week, so I am putting him in my lineup if I can. Now, another receiver I'm starting is George Pickens versus the Texans. With Deontay still out on injured reserve, Pickens has become the #1 option for Kenny Pickett. And he's being really targeted heavily. Hasn't always shown up, but he's done a really good job. Texans have allowed 16 points a game, which isn't amazing, but they are allowing, again, options. He's going to get those targets. I expect Pickens to have a similar performance like Zay Flowers did in the first week, where he had 10 targets and averaged about 17 points. So I really like this one for Pickens. I think he's going to be in that 15 to 17 point range, a really nice wide receiver 2 option. Now, my third receiver is Adam Thielen versus the Vikings. A nice little revenge game for Thielen, coming back to play his team. Playing his former team and coming off one of his better games is going to be juicy and fun for him. I think Bryce is going to be back in this one. They haven't really announced it. I know he's coming back. He's questionable. Whether it's Bryce or Dalton, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I do think Dalton adds a little bit of a higher upside for Thielen, but I still think Bryce will still allow Thielen to have a really good game. This is the biggest issue. The Vikings are going to be up probably pretty big, which means they're going to have to play catch up for the Panthers. Vikings have allowed 26 points to wide receivers and just allowed a huge game to Keenan Allen, like a huge game, over 200 receiving yards. So I expect Thielen to have a nice little 100-yard game, maybe 5 to 7 receptions and maybe a touchdown there. So I like Thielen a lot this week. A really good wide receiver 2 with some wide receiver 1 upside. Now, my first receiver I'm sitting this week can be Zay Flowers versus the Browns. Pickens did put up 22 points against the Browns, but besides that, Browns have actually been really good against the wide receiver, only allowing 8 points a game. Browns have been amazing on defense, and they've been able to get after the quarterback, and they usually give Lamar Jackson a pretty tough time. This is a nice little divisional game, so you never know how these games play out. Flowers should see some targets, but I don't expect much out of him. I'm expecting a 9 to 10 point game out of him. He might be a flex play depending on your roster, but if you can, I'd look for some other options. Now, another receiver I'm sitting is Garrett Wilson versus the Chiefs, and realistically, I don't know if I don't know how much longer I'm going to put him to sit because you just should automatically, because until the quarterback situation changes, Garrett's not going to have the games that we were hoping and where you drafted him at, right? Chiefs have actually been pretty good against the wide receiver as well, keeping them to 18 points and under 100 yards as well. So, again, tough defense with Chris Jones back. Garrett Wilson hasn't had the quarterback he's really hoping to have. I'm sitting him this week. Now, the last wide receiver I am sitting is DeAndre Hopkins versus the Bengals. Titans offense looks lost. They don't know if they want to run, pass. It just doesn't look consistent. Tannehill isn't playing well. Derrick Henry is not showing up. I mean, Spears is getting more snaps than him. Hopkins has not looked great since week 1. Bengals are also tough against wide receivers, holding them to 14 points a game and keeping the wide receiver 1 on that team under 12 points. So this is a really tough matchup. I don't expect more than 8 points out of DeAndre Hopkins. He is absolutely a good sit. Now, my surprise sleeper this week is going to be Darius Slayton for the Giants going against the Seahawks. A nice little matchup for Slayton to be a great flex play. I don't think more. He might have some wide receiver 2 upside. Seahawks have allowed 25 points a game to wide receivers and 255 yards collectively as a wide receiver core. That is huge. Seahawks have played poorly, and that was with, obviously, Woolen, who's one of the better corners or young corners in the game. Slayton could see 12 targets a game for this game and really try to help the Giants win. So I like Darius Slayton as a nice little surprise sleeper. So those are my start sits and sleepers for week 4 of the wide receiver position. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys check out our other start and sit videos. If you guys trade questions, if you have lineup questions, whatever you may have, hit us up in the comments. We'll be able to help answer those questions to help you guys with your week 4. Remember, there's a game Thursday night and a really early game on Sunday, so pay attention to that, and obviously injury reports. And again, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We greatly appreciate it. And if you also enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button. Share this with a friend, league mate, whoever you would like. And I'll check you guys out next time.